What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're at Tourne Park in Morris County testing out the Trek Marlin 7 in the rain, and you guys get to see me take a little fall. Alright guys, so I knew it was going to be not a great day, and as soon as I got in the parking lot I pulled out my bike, got my helmet on, got my gloves on, I was ready to go, and it just started pouring as you saw in the beginning of this video. So I wasn't exactly meaning to be out in the pouring rain, but I knew it wasn't going to be a great day and I wanted to see if I could kind of beat that rain. But I figured since I was already there, I didn't think it was going to rain that hard for very long, but it rained the entire time. So I got to really test this bike out in the rain on these trails. So again, I had my Garmin Fenix 6 on. To give you a little bit of information on this, it was about a 3.28 mile ride. The elevation gain on this one was about 405 feet. So there was pretty good climbs, some pretty good downs, nothing too crazy. My average moving speed was about 6.1 miles per hour. After I took my fall in the beginning, well, somewhat in the beginning, which you're going to see, I slowed it down a lot. You know, once you take that fall, you kind of take a step back and say maybe I'm pushing it a little bit too much. My max speed was 29 miles per hour, but that was on the road at the end. On the trails, I can see I hit just about 17 miles per hour on two different areas of the trail. So these trails, there's a lot of gravel, there's a lot of leaves, there's small and large rocks everywhere. As you can see, I just went through an area of downed tree that they have cut open, so there's a lot of that in there. A lot of roots. Obviously there's some road also that you can go on to kind of connect between the trails or get back to your car. And like I said, there's some good climbs and some good downs, but nothing too crazy. I will say that this trail was way more techy than my last video. If you watched my last one of Lewis Morris Park, this one is way more techy with a lot more rock on it. And this was actually the first trail I've been on where I actually had multiple times where my pedals were hitting rocks because the large rocks were kind of all over the place in really weird spots, which was actually the final kind of downfall for me when I fell off the bike. So overall, I just want to say this bike did great in the rain. The gearing was amazing. You know, the 1x10 did really well for me. People have asked me about the 28 tooth crank pulley and what I think. And I can see how if you're a rider who really wants to get a lot of speed, you can spin it out. Maybe you want to go with a 30 tooth or a 32. So before I continue on about the bike, right here is about where I'm going to fall. So I slowed down just a bit to kind of go over in between a cutout and a tree that had fallen. And that was actually good for me because my speed was much lower than where I was if I just continued on. There was a ton of leaves on the trail, a ton of rocks under those leaves, so it's probably hard to see, but if you see, I kind of hit the brakes and I lost control of the bike a little bit. And what happened is that I was regaining control and I went over into a very rocky section. I was trying to kind of pull it back together, and then my left pedal just slammed a rock, and that was it. And I just basically went forward. I didn't go fully over the handlebars. It was off to the left a little bit, but as you can see, I kind of just hit the ground, and it was not fun, only because it was so dirty. You know, it didn't hurt too much. It wasn't this kind of crazy fall or anything like that, but you know, it was enough that it made me take a step back after that and say, maybe I should slow down a little bit in the rain. But talking about the bike overall, the gearing on the bike was pretty good. I'm still really happy with it. However, as I continue to ride, a lot of people have asked me about the 28 tooth crank pulley, and I can see how when they ask does it spin out, if you ride a lot and you want to go really fast, I can see how that 28 tooth will spin out for you. So maybe you want to get a 30 tooth or a 32 tooth. For me, it's still good right now, especially on the climbing. But I could see, especially when I was on the road, when I was hitting that 29 miles an hour, and if I wanted to keep pedaling, I could still pedal, but I could see people that really want to push it, you know, you're kind of maxing out around that 30 to 32 miles per hour. So on these trails, you guys can see all the rocks on the trails, and the derailleur on it, extremely solid. Really happy about it. There wasn't very much movement. There wasn't change slap everywhere. I was easily shifting gears on climbs and downhills while hitting rocks, and I had absolutely no problems. So really happy about that. And it was in the rain. It was extremely wet and slippery, but this bike definitely held its own. Most of the issues that I had were rider created. It was just me being kind of a beginner and causing those problems for myself. if I ever got caught in the rain again, or if I ever wanted to go riding in the rain again, I would have absolutely no problems doing that on this bike. The pedals on it, much better. I have the Fuker pedals. You can see my other video on that, but those pedals are very grippy versus the stock pedals that come with it. And I was still, my feet were still slipping a little bit here and there, but not too much. I think that's more because of the sneakers I was wearing. I just wear regular running sneakers when I'm biking. The hand grips, those are the stock ones that came with the bike, the Bontraggers, and I had no problems with that. I do wear gloves with them. The gloves were soaked, I mean like dripping wet when I pulled them off. I had no problems holding on. There was no slipping whatsoever, which is really good. The brakes didn't get a little bit squeaky when they were wet. However, there was no performance difference whatsoever. I was able to stop on a dime if I needed to. Obviously with the leaves I was sliding a little bit, but as far as the brakes go, the brakes worked really well in the rain. So the tires is something people always bring up, those XR2s, good entry level people say, but you know, you want to upgrade it. To be honest, on these rocks, as you can see in these trails, the tires did really well. And obviously I've never had other tires on this bike, but I was really surprised that in the rain, on those rocks, uphill, downhill, I wasn't really slipping too much. I was doing really well. So the overall grip was amazing. So like I said, this bike in the rain I think was great. I have no problems with it. I think it'll continue to do good, especially if I get caught in the rain again. So overall, this bike did really well in the rain. Really happy with it. I hope you guys like the rest of this video. Just another note is that on the GoPro, if you guys have a GoPro, they're waterproof. If you've ever taken it in the ocean or in a pool or something, when you come out and you listen to the sound, the water actually gets into the microphone hole and the sound becomes terrible. So I keep saying I'm going to give you guys a video with no music in the background. However, it was raining so much. There's multiple parts for extended periods of time where there's so much water in that microphone that all you hear is like mumbling basically. It's kind of just like a hum. So I'm going to put some music in the background again so that you guys can watch the rest of this, see what you think of how it did on the trail with the terrain. I wasn't pushing it too hard because after that fall, you know, you kind of take that step back, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video.